If you've ever tried to start a diet only to fail after like 3 days, it might not be your fault. You were just following the wrong strategy for you. Because technically, every single diet will work and give you results like this as long as you're in a calorie deficit. So now the problem is you just have to keep this diet for long enough to see the results. But there are many different diets out there and you just have to find the one that works for you based on your dieting archetype. So today I'm going to show you the 7 types of dieters and the archetypes and the main mistakes and what to do instead. So based on whichever categories you're going to fall in, you will be able to figure out, okay, this is what I need to do if I want to get, the transformation I want. Let's go. Because all I want for you is to lose the weight without feeling miserable and get your dream body without making your life a nightmare. And so much comes from food. Any type of transformation, food is like 80% of the job. So if you don't have that in check, you can't outrun a bad diet. So if your diet isn't locked in, isn't the way it's supposed to be, you just won't get anywhere. Also, be proud of me. That's what I made. I made this myself. I'm really proud of myself. Okay, number 1 is one I could never relate to, which is the skipper, aka the person who doesn't feel hungry in the morning and goes straight into whatever they're supposed to do with their day, only to eat later during the day. And they usually will start eating at lunch, for example, and that's basically intermittent fasting. Now, the 2 major mistakes that I see from there is A, you force feed yourself in the morning, usually with like a sugary thing, like a bar, for example, a cereal bar, or maybe you're going to have actual cereal, maybe a piece of toast, anything that is going to spike your blood sugar. No protein usually, and then you end up crashing and you end up overeating. And then you just end up feeling bad and just kind of sick for the rest of the day. There is no point in that. If you're not hungry, don't eat. The second major mistake is to basically make up for that next meal by overeating to the point where you're just over full. When you're like 80-90% full, when you're like 100, and then when you're like 120% full, you can feel the stretch. You can feel when you've eaten too much. And one skipped meal doesn't mean that it should be made up for, especially when you're trying to lose weight. If you've seen my content for a while, you know that I'm not a fan of intermittent fasting. But that's mostly because I haven't done the experiment and the research. I want to see the impact on cortisol, but I just cannot find a continuous cortisol monitor. That's what I want, so I can actually try and see how it works on me. Haven't been able to find that. I don't know if that exists. I'll keep looking. Point being, especially when you're a woman, when you don't eat first thing in the morning, especially when you don't eat protein, it might mess up your hormones. And we have I feel like women are very sensitive to that type of thing, and that can fuck up a lot of things in your body. That's why I'm not fully for intermittent fasting, but some of my clients are, and they're still going to see amazing results. I'm not making them have breakfast if they don't want to. It's actually easier in a way to lose weight. One of the main benefit is, well, first of all, if you do that for long enough, you might actually get into a fat burning mode. If you don't have glucose with breakfast, for example, which is carbs mostly, your body doesn't have much choice but to start the fat burning process. So it may actually ease up on that. But the other main thing is you don't really have to track calories when you do that. If you don't make up for the food that you haven't eaten, as I said, which is the major mistake, then it's just so much easier to be in a 400 calorie deficit, because 500, that's the usual, I feel, amount of breakfast would be at in terms of calories. You don't have to track. If you eat normally after, you are going to find yourself in a deficit. So that's the major good point about intermittent fasting. It kind of makes life easier when you want to lose weight. But if you're someone who needs breakfast, don't force yourself into that. We're going to see other archetypes. You will find the one that works for you. I know I'm not an intermittent fasting girly. I love breakfast. The second type that I used to be is the grazer, the person who doesn't like having like consistent like 3 big meals, but having multiple snacks throughout the day and kind of works with that. The main problem with that is that you tend to only have snacks that aren't necessarily high in protein. Like if you constantly just snack, it's difficult, I feel, to get the amount of protein you need, and you're mostly going to be snacking on carbs, so you're missing out on the nutrients that you need, especially the protein and the fat. Unless you are very intentional with it, which is basically what to do, which is to say, if you want to have little snacks throughout the day, I'm fine with that, as long as you get, a protein, a carb, and a healthy fat in there. I will be a very happy coach, and you can pretty much get the results you want if you're really not a big appetite, big meal type of person. I do recommend the big meals just because it's better to have like one blood sugar spike, or like let's say 3, because you have like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's better to only have like 3 glucose spike throughout the day after a meal, which is normal, by the way, than have like multiple or never really have it go down enough because you eat again. So I get it. Some people don't have a big appetite. They prefer like snacking. That's fine. I've just given you how to deal with it. But my recommendation would be still like it's better to do it that way. But you do you. Now let's talk about the ritual eater. It's kind of what I was just saying, which is a good thing, when you have 3 meals at exactly the same time every single day. Well, not the exact same meal, but breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And the main mistake with that one would be that you might end up eating even if you're not hungry, because it's the time to eat. That's the only main issue. Otherwise, it's a very good strategy, I feel. And, that's kind of what our great-grandparents used to do. They have breakfast at 6 a.m., let's say, then, they eat at like 12 or 1 or whatever, and then they have dinner at 6 p.m., and then they eat again at 6 a.m. I feel like this is a very good approach, just because, you have the 12-hour like fast overnight, roughly, which is a really good thing because it gives enough time for your blood sugar to go down, your insulin levels to go down, and you can start the day fresh. It's also good because if you only eat 3 times per day, you don't have, again, constant high blood glucose and constant high insulin, so it's very good. And the main mistake with that, I feel, if that's how you eat and you can't lose weight with that, it's just portion control, meaning that you may overeat out of habit rather than hunger. And one of the best way, I'm going to show it here, that's what I show all of my clients when they start. This is to, when you want to lose weight, half of your plate should be veggies. That will keep the plate low enough calories. It will still be satisfying. It will still make you feel fuller for longer because of the fibers from the veggies, but you will not, it's harder to overeat on veggies, and then you've got a quarter of it that should be protein, because again, you need protein and it's very good to stay fuller for longer. Then you've got a quarter that should be, complex carbs, let's think potatoes, rice, pasta, things like that, quinoa, oats, whatever. And 1 to 2 tablespoons of fat. Now, usually the way I see it is it was used to cook. I would use like butter, for example, to cook the protein most often. So that's kind of my tip. I would say if you can't lose weight while eating that, it's just because your plate is not the way it should be. Maybe it looks more like half of the plate might be, the complex carbs, which are high in calories. So that's the main thing. You want to change the portion control aspect of it, and what your plate looks like, and you're good to go. 4, I keep promising that I will make a video about how to not emotionally eat. So the 4th archetype is the emotional eater. I think I want to turn it into a vlog because I'm a very emotional person. So I feel like, I go through all the colors of the rainbow in a day. So I feel like it could be a good option to be like, okay, I'm hungry. This is what I do. I'm sad. This is what I do to not emotionally eat. So that's what I kind of want to do. But I have the next few videos planned, so we're not going to get there yet. The emotional eating one isn't going to be coming out maybe at the end of the year, I don't know, we'll see. Anyways, point being, the emotional eater obviously is going to eat based on their feelings. If you're sad, you're going to eat. If you're stressed, you're going to eat. If you're angry, you're going to eat. If you're happy, you're going to eat. Okay, so what do we do here? Because obviously we have a lot of feelings, especially women. How do we deal with that? The major thing is you know that you're not necessarily hungry. Oh, the laundry is almost done. You know that you're not hungry. You know that you're only eating because you're stressed, because you're whatever. Okay, so the thing you have to do is to build the emotional regulation toolbox, basically. So based on the feelings you feel, you're going to be able to not go to food. I want to say the only emotion that is most okay to like emotionally eat out of is happy. Because happy, birthdays, celebrations, things like that. Yeah, go eat, go have that piece of cake because that's what you would do for someone's birthday. So why would you not do it? That's the only, I feel like when it's a type of celebration, eating out with friends and so on, yeah, go celebrate. Even if it's on your own, go celebrate. I'm happy for you to do that. Now, on the other end, when it's stress, when it's anger, when it's sadness, all of those things, you have to figure out what's the emotion? What do I really need? Because let's be honest, if you overeat or like emotionally eat when you're not hungry and stuff like that, because you want to numb an emotion, let's be clear, that's what's going on. You want to not think about that emotion, so you're going to eat to feel full and have something else to focus on. Cool. No, actually, no. What do you actually need? Because when you come out of the eating phase, you're like, well, I feel worse than when I started because I tried to numb that emotion by eating. But the problem is, it came back after I ate and I feel even worse because I feel guilty and shame and all of those because I ate. Okay, so maybe food is not the option. Food is not the solution. I know that you know that, but that's when you really have to do the work, not when you're feeling those feelings, but before, of saying, I think that when I'm sad, this is what I should do. When I'm stressed, this is what I should do. And actually then you practice. You have to not wait until the emotion comes out to figure out what is the basically emergency procedure to follow. And that's what I do with all of my clients, especially the one that comes with binge eating, but we're going to talk about that in a second. I've helped them figure out, okay, what's the best thing that you think would help in that situation? Do you need to cry it out? Do you need to journal? Do you need to go for a run? Do you need to call a friend? Do you need to paint or color, use a coloring book or whatever? What do you need to do that will actually make you feel better without the added, oh my god, on top of everything that went wrong today, I also ate. By the way, if you need help to get this type of transformation, please let me help you. Just book a free call with me below. We'll see if and how I can help you, because that's my passion in life, to help you get your dream body without making your life a nightmare. I know that you've been trying for a very long time. Maybe it's time to get help. 5. It couldn't be me either, because I'm not an introvert, but I have a very sad social life here. The social butterfly. It's the person who is going to know they have things from Thursday, let's say, to Sunday every single night, or even during the day and so on. So they tend to be good all week or up until that point, and then they sort of let go and eat 3,000 calories in one specific meal because they're out and they outdrink everyone or whatever. Obviously, I don't have to tell you that it is a lot of calories. And even if you're good all week, if you do the average, most often, if you're struggling to lose weight, well, every single time actually, if you're doing the average, you are going to be in surplus, and that's why you cannot lose the weight. Because you try to be perfect during the week and then you spiral throughout the weekend, and because you're going out and you want to have fun and you've been good and you deserve that. Okay, what should you do so with this archetype we can make it work? I have a few clients who are very social people and they tend to go out a lot. And anyways, all of my clients actually do go out. They just have various intensity, I would say, of social life. They all go out. The number one thing that has worked for them is to be aware of, this is the weekly calorie deficit average you should be at. So for example, let's say 1800, 1900, this is your calorie deficit. Every single day you should be that. But it's not realistic to think that you can hit that specific number every single day, especially when you're going out. So what we're going to do is figure out how many days a week do you want to go out, how many times a week do you want to go out. Okay, those are going to be your higher calorie days. And then in order to match the average, the other days should be lower, but not miserable. right? And from there, you are going to stay in control. So when you do actually go out, you know that you still have your calorie, amount to eat. All right, then you are going to be building that discipline of, you can still have a drink, you can still eat out, have pizza, have dessert, things like that, as long as it fits into your deficit. I feel like for the social butterfly, tracking your macros, I love tracking my macros. I feel like this is the safest way for a lot of archetype. You just adjust based on how you want to eat. But I do believe that tracking macros for most people is necessary. I would say not for the intermittent fasting person. No, actually, no. For all people, I would say that at first, tracking macros to learn nutrition and learn how much is, banana and so on, and how much protein are you eating, will teach you how to, after that, not have to track and still be able to know, am I eating enough? Am I eating too much? Stuff like that. Where was I? Let me look. Oh, right. So, if you have smaller calorie days and then higher ones, but it still comes out as the average being your deficit, you can go out, you can enjoy your life, but not necessarily be stuck on your weight loss journey, which is what you don't want. So that's how I would recommend it. Use averages and plan ahead and be smart, and maybe realize, am I going with these people because I really want to go out with these people, or am I going because I was invited but I know they're going to drain my battery, or maybe I will not necessarily enjoy it, or I don't know. The thing is, weight loss kind of requires some type of sacrifice. You don't have to be miserable, obviously, but it requires some type of sacrifice, let's be honest. So my point with that is, it's okay to say no to stuff while you're on your transformation journey, knowing full well that it's harder to transform and requires more action, sacrifice, stuff like that, than to maintain. So during the fat loss journey, I feel like you have to be more disciplined and a little bit stricter with yourself without making yourself miserable again. And after that, it will be easier to maintain because you will not need to be in a deficit. So you will have more food, in the bank, basically. So it will be easier to eat out and do all of those things without getting the weight back, or and just maintaining. Okay, number 6, the perfectionist. I just made a week ago a video about the all or nothing mentality and how to get rid of it. I highly suggest you watch it. It will definitely help. But the thing is, it definitely ruins a meal plan because you're gonna make a meal plan. I'm gonna eat 100% healthy, so good every single day, and I need to follow this plan exactly. And then on Friday evening, you're going to be absolutely starving, and you have one cookie that your colleague is giving you, oh, I made cookies, do you want one? And you can't say no because you're so hungry and you've been so good all week. So you eat one cookie and then, oh my god, I fucked up. So for the rest of the weekend, you are going to, overeat or not care or quit because, you know what, I fucked up, so might as well. Does that sound familiar? When you quit after a mistake, you're never gonna get anywhere. And expecting perfection from yourself is not only crazy, but also impossible because, let's be honest, I'm sure that you've looked on the internet and looked at research, and maybe you've seen that on your social media, For You page. Oh, milk is amazing, you should drink it. Oh my god, milk is so bad, don't drink it. Soy milk is the miracle thing. Don't drink soy milk, it's gonna kill you. Things like that. And I'm just saying milk here, but that for every single thing, there is a pros and cons, and people are going to say, eat eggs, don't eat eggs, stuff like that. You get my point. So it's very difficult to have a 100% perfect diet because there's always going to be someone to tell you that, oh my god, why are you eating that, right? But also, it's impossible to have a 100% perfect diet because life is going to get in the way. You're going to have cravings. And, I keep saying your brain is like a child. So if you say you can't have that, guess what it's going to want? That. If you say I can't have chocolate, guess what you're going to crave and think about all day? Chocolate. So my point is, with that, you have to plan for a 75-25. For example, 75% of the time, eat as healthy, nutrient-dense, high in protein as you can. 25%, whatever you may crave. When you actually plan for those fun food, right? Less nutrients, fun food, you can still see results. Again, that's my favorite message that I got lately from a client. And you won't feel miserable. And you won't quit after a mistake because it wasn't a mistake. It was planned anyways. 75-25. If you eat 4 times per day, breakfast, lunch, snack, and dinner, One gets to be whatever you want. How freeing is that? To realize you don't have to be 100% perfect. Just shoot for 75. And at the end of the day, as long as you're still in a deficit, you could pretty much, I think, okay, hold on. I read a study or research or paper or an article about that one teacher, professor, whatever, who tried to lose weight just eating Twinkies. So that's 100% unhealthy food. Like that's 0 or 100. And lost weight because he was in a calorie deficit. So you can lose weight without eating 100% healthy. I'm obviously not recommending that. Please have the nutrients and the protein that you need. And besides, the healthier you eat, the more full you're going to feel and the more lean body mass you're going to maintain, all of that. So I'm not recommending the only Twinkies diet. I'm just saying, as long as you are in a calorie deficit, it's going to work even if you have a donut every day. I should actually make a challenge like that, like losing weight with eating your fear food every day. I think it would be a nice, fun idea. So I might try to do that. I just need to post it on Instagram so people can give me their fear food. Alright, let's move on. And the last one is the binge eater. Now, I have a full video on how I stopped binge eating after struggling for 6 years. But the thing is, if you're a binge eater, you can't start with weight loss until the binges are gone for like a hot second. I'm not going to give you a time frame because everyone has a different one. But you really need to be able to control the urge, to be able to ride the urge, to know why you're binging in the first place. And you have to know all of that before you're able to really start a weight loss journey. Okay? Because if you are stuck in the binge restrict cycle, the moment you even consider diet and weight loss, calorie deficit, you're going to binge. And you know who you are. I know that a lot of you are going to resonate with that because that used to be me. The moment I thought, maybe I should lose weight, bam, binge. So if you're a binge eater right now, the path is first focus on recovery, then weight loss. And again, watch that video. I can't link it twice, but watch that video. It will make a lot of sense and you will have the exact step by step. And if you need help, please let me help. I have helped so many women stop binge eating and then lose the weight. You might need hand holding from someone who've experienced it, and I have. I kept losing and gaining the same, 10, 15, 20 pounds, kept rebounding every single time, could not stop binge eating until I followed the right process. So please let me help. Just book a call with me below, and I'm more than happy to walk you through what the process could look like for you so you can, finally lose the weight and heal your relationship with food and feel good in your body. Okay, those were the 7 archetypes and what to do instead. You don't have to force yourself into someone else's meal plan. You have to know how you function and what works with you, and then figure out what's the best way to lose weight from there. Once you figure out your archetype, fat loss gets to be on easy mode. You're welcome. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.